Together we're creating a virtual Kunstverein and a digital in-between space. Where is the Kunstverein located? When is it located? What conditions define its existence? We will explore the Kunstverein as a shelter. What is it being sheltered and from what? Does this exist in the now, in the past, or in the future? We'll explore the Kunstverein as a shack, the shack as the first principle of architecture. We're making a structure together, and it's an open structure, so it can accommodate many different ideas, and those ideas together will form a new language, and it's this language that we will somehow be inhabiting. There's also the text. Bettina wrote sent us a quote and an image, and those texts are in the kind of neons along the wall there.
It looks quite nice to have this text on the walls.
I have an idea that might be just a constant. But during this time, I was always thinking about a space that people can, because based on Corona time, you cannot meet people, and it's like you're alone all the time. So I was thinking about some place that you can meet the others, but the question arises that what is this shelter for? And maybe it can be somehow that protects you from any kind of virus, that you can meet people actually without getting infected to any kind of virus, not just Corona or anything. So because, I was thinking even after this coronavirus, our mind is kind of like more sensitive than before, because we have been through this time, so we cannot be the same as we have been before.
We came across this moment then, because what we are in now. So we also had the idea that a face mask is somehow a shelter in our situation right now, and to get the vaccine then will be somehow a shelter. And we were dealing with the idea from different kind of perspectives. We also came up with the idea in general that a jail is maybe a shelter for the rest of the society, to put somebody in somewhere which is safe. We are safe.
From very beginning, our points for what's the shelter for us, it was about the safety, but also it's for her about the secret spot where she can go and she can feel like free to express all of the feelings. And that's when we started thinking more about this thing, about this accept of shelter, that it doesn't have to be only about like feeling endangered of like the things from outside, but also to feel free to express ourselves.
Our conditions now are really like the times that we're in. I hear really reflected back in the way that you're describing this, of a shelter as acceptance. I think is fascinating. So the inversion, rather than it being about a shelter that is about an external threat, but about an internal threat. So it's about a certain idea of self-acceptance, or the self-acceptance to be able to say something or do something in a certain way. I think that's fascinating.
Can I ask, just of curiosity, what is the idea behind the texture in the wave? The idea
was that, and this was on their original collage. So I don't know if you remember the collage they sent, but it was meant to be like sound waves, almost like a kind of a sound wave or a musical score or something like that. And I'm not sure exactly what they sent in the end. But the idea was that there would be different sounds that you could cross as you were in that, going along that. that wave?
Today, it's not only the weather or like viruses or this stuff, but we are like feeling endangered or like in danger, but also the society like makes really big pressure on us. We started discussing like if also anonymity can be some kind of shelter, which can actually be also like somehow created in the virtual space.
What happened?
I think this in a way, and maybe the ladder getting to the top are the two most kind of surreal moments. They really transport you. This idea of a shelter as a transportation. I think that's very interesting.
Okay.
One thing I had thought about when I'd imagined this in the beginning was that all the shelters would somehow be connected to each other, but now we have them all kind of separated out in a kind of terrain. So this is quite different than I had imagined it when I was thinking about what is it we're going to make when we in the end. So that for me is quite interesting. How each shelter sort of became a separate entity.
We discussed many different perspectives of what could be a shelter, and we were focusing somehow then on the feeling what a shelter emerges, like to feel safe, and what does it mean to feel safe? And we were talking about it in more general.
Yeah, the freezer is kind of out of context. But I thought that like making the whole terrain as a freezer could harm other ideas. So.
Yeah, that's sort of why we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Also, because the idea of like the box that you step into felt kind of nice here.
Should I dig deep to heal myself or just go forward? All I can feel is a call, a question which made me restless. So we had this idea about having a shelter as a healing shelter, let's say.
All right, try from this side. You should be able to just, yeah, now turn around. Yeah, okay, go up to it.
Right.
There you go. Now we're going.
Flying.
We're going higher and higher. And here we are. This idea of improving instincts is also fascinating. When you seclude your certain senses, other senses come to the front. Typically, you hear about, of course, blind people can hear incredibly well, this sort of thing, right? So this is sort of fascinating, this idea of kind of sensory deprivation. And sensory deprivation is also a way of healing. You get these kind of sensory deprivation chambers that people go into so that they can experience nothingness. So I think this idea of kind of distance and deprivation as something positive is really fascinating.